Hello, everybody. Daniel Harkavy here in a really pretty office. Today, I get to work in Sun River, Central Oregon, in the outdoors. Horst asked me if that was a real backdrop, and this is real. This isn't one of those fancy Zoom backgrounds. And today, we're going to be talking about leadership. I have again an amazing guest, fellow contributor to my next book. I would like to introduce you to my good buddy, Horst Schulze. Horst, it's great to have you with me.
And it's good to be with you.
So you and I have been talking leadership together with different clients. We've worked together with Chen Med. We've worked together with Chick-fil-A. And I've heard you speak so many times. You've been on my CEO roundtables, sharpening other CEOs and other board members. Before we get into the topic of leadership, why don't you let everybody know a little bit about your career and who you are?
Well, I come from a small town in Germany, left that town and worked in a hotel as a busboy about 100 kilometers away, which was very far at that time. And went from there and worked truly in the finest hotels in Europe. Came in the mid-60s, I came to the US for a year, maybe two, but I'm still here. Worked at Hilton Hyatt. Eventually was co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, which everybody knows today. And following Ritz-Carlton, I've created another company, I created by myself, Capella Hotel Company, which incidentally I sold a little over a year ago, which incidentally 2 weeks ago was voted best hotel company in the world. And the Capella Hotel in Bali was voted best hotel in the world.
Congratulations.
Let me say that just to get credibility with you and with everybody else. In the Ritz-Carlton time, in 5 continents, every one of our hotel, while I was running the company, was rated #1 in the location where it was. So somehow the philosophy that we implemented works.
Yeah, it works quite well because I'm sure everybody who's joining us today has had the Ritz-Carlton experience or at least heard of it. But the Capella experience is one that I've not yet had. And I think I'm an avid surfer and Bali is on my list. So I may be tugging on your jacket saying, hey, Capella Bali, help me out, buddy. I want to go there. So, well, you have a book out too that really talks about your philosophy of excellence. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, excellence wins. In fact, it was Stephen Covey who was pushing me to write a book. And I didn't. And he called me and said, I'm disappointed that you must write your thinking, you must write it down, you have an obligation. But he did that for several years. But at that time, last time he called, I was driving home in the car and I said, I will do it, Stephen. And a few months later, he passed. And then I felt compelled to Steve to write the book, and I finally did. And I wrote it in a way where I tell story about how to run the business. I didn't want to have the first part of the book, and a ghostwriter helped me. Mm-hmm. It came out like an academic book, and I said, okay, stop everything, we start all over. I want to write my story, my words, and it worked out great. And it's very successful. It's translated in the meantime into Russian, German, Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish, and so on. So it did really well. And mostly, frankly, you would think it does well because somebody goes in a store and buys it. That didn't happen. It's mostly a CEO read it, and one of them bought 5,000 for his employees. Another one bought 3,000, and so on. That's where the numbers came in.
Yeah. And that's, a book like yours, to put that in the hands of everybody in an organization to help them to understand they can play a role in creating something special and meaningful. That's what your book's all about, is helping them to see how every detail, when put together with all of the other functions and tactics, when they come together with excellence, you create something magnificent and special. So I understand why CEOs are buying your book for everybody.
Yeah, that's why it's successful. You said the word successful, and of course I called it excellence wins, and excellence wins. Because in consulting with a number of companies, I come to the conclusion people don't quite understand what is excellence. Well, excellence is never an accident. It's always the result of high intent, a high vision, and a vision of excellence, and hard work. High intent and hard work creates excellence.
Yeah.
It is not an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're transitioning us really well. Thank you for giving us a little bit of an overview. And I know I could spend a full half hour with you just talking about what you've done. But your thumbprint on this world with regards to excellence, customer service, the customer experience, you're the guy, and it is a privilege to have you with us. It's also a privilege to have you as a contributor to my next book, which comes out about a month from now. And you contributed.
Thank you. And of course, I read the manuscript, and that's why I contributed and say it's great.
Well,
and
thank you.
And I say you should read it. Read it. It's good.
You heard that, everybody. I might have you say that several times. And then CEOs, you should buy 5,000 copies of this, just like you buy 5,000 copies of Excellence Wins. But, in the book.
I have to stop here. No kidding. I mean, I wouldn't do that. Look here, my age, you can say whatever you want. You say the truth in my age. Yeah. It's really worth it.
Thank you.
It's really worth it, the book. So congratulations what you did there.
Thank you.
It's great service to a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And, I've written a few books over the years, and I'm the kind of guy that as I read the manuscript, when it's coming to its end point, it never finishes for me. I'm always editing. The book's not just good enough. It's never good enough.
Never.
And it's like, that's why I'm bald. I pull my hair out as I read the 18th edit of the manuscript. And on this one, when I read the final manuscript, I really did sit back and I smiled. And the reason that I smiled and the reason that I enjoyed reading the manuscript so much was because of your contribution. You and the other 19, 20 or so amazing leaders who said, decisions and influence. Yep, that makes leadership effectiveness. And then when you spoke into each of the 7 perspectives, and I read your stories and your comments and all of it in the manuscript, I said, this is going to help people because there's all of this real world leadership experience like yours where you speak into it. And it made it very enjoyable for me. So thank you.
I enjoyed it too.
So, you contributed in the book. You talked about the perspective of the customer. And you shared a story of your own when you were running Ritz-Carlton, where you made a big move. You made a strategic bet, which is perspective 2. And you had learned a lesson about perspective 4, the customer. And you made a big decision and a strategic bet with regards to going from brass keys to the magnetic card keys, right?
Yeah. Well, what the story is, it also tells you, be careful. The customer changes. Stay with the customer. Know what the customer. It's not. Never is a study of one where somebody tells you. In this case, it was a decision of one, because I saw what was new at the time when we opened our first Ritz-Carlton hotel. What was new at the time, I saw those wing cards, those plastic cards to open the door with, and said, "This is the future, and I'm building for the future." So I insisted that this cards go in. Also, there was more security in that. Well, we opened the hotel and we told the world, we are our luxury. We are a first-class hotel. And they come in and say, "You're giving me this silly plastic piece and you say you're the Lux Hotel." We got so many comments that I had to change the locks to a hard lock, back to a hard lock. Well, 3 years later, they say, "You're giving me this hard key. What if I lose and somebody comes into my room in the middle of the night?" So we change back to the plastic card. So the fact here is you shouldn't make decisions where you come from. The market should drive your decision. The general market should drive your decision. And if you're too far ahead of that market, you're too far. You go with the market, and then, but be aware, the market changes their mind. So be constantly aware of the market.
That point is such a really good point for everybody watching us to just digest and to take in, because so often we become enamored with our own products, our own engineering, our own our own new bells and whistles, and we just assume that the market's going to want it. And there's a lot of money spent in these strategic bets that fail. So
Yeah,
getting the perspective of the customer is huge. It's key.
it's huge.
Key. Get it? All right. So, you talk about that in the book. You speak also on the perspective of the outsider, and I'll let people read that. What I want to talk to you about is perspective two, the perspective of vision. When you and I do our CEO roundtables together, it is always what you talk about. I know you and I resonate and we align. If a leader has no vision, if they don't see a better tomorrow, if there's not something aspirational and yet clear and compelling, it's very difficult to engage the heads and the hearts of people. I would love for you just to share with the
Yeah.
listeners and viewers, talk about vision.
I mean, as you know, I'm zealous about that. How can it, to me, if you don't have a clearly defined vision, it's like going in a car and blindfold yourself and drive because you don't know where you're going. If I have a clearly defined vision, now, if I develop that vision, I should be absolutely, as a leader, I have to be absolutely sure this vision is good for all concerned. All concerned is the investors, the employees, the customer, and society. In my case, I happen to be a believer. I also have to question myself, would God approve?
I love it.
And that's something I ask myself. So now is established. Once this is clearly established, that this vision, which is beautiful, take Ritz-Carlton. In Ritz-Carlton, the vision was, we will be the leading hotel company of the world, in the world, before we had a hotel. When I hired people, they said, well, why we don't even have a hotel, that doesn't matter. Every decision has to be in order to get to that beautiful destination in everything that is true. So talking about customers, so I have to be sure, don't know how I'm going to be the best. I have to look at the customer. If you hypothetically look at the left, you see a lot of people. Those are your customers or your potential customers. If you look at the right, you see a lot of people too. Those are your employees. Now, once I know what the people on the left want, I have to make sure the people on the right here, my employees, know what those people want. And then I have to create processes, systems, and controls so we deliver that. Leadership, though, is an environment in which the employees want to deliver that. That doesn't eliminate the process and the systems and the controls, so management doesn't go away, but leadership is an additive. A manager should be a leader. And I guarantee you, if they want to do it, they will do a better job than if they have to do it. Management forces it to do it. So, but where am I? And look, what do I want? So my vision is that by doing that, I become the best hotel company in the world. That's why we do it. Everything we do. That's how I hire people. And that's why I make all my decisions. But in that moment, because I know it serves all concerned, I cannot compromise anymore. No. My decisions have become clear. And if you don't mind, if I rattle on here for a second.
Please do.
And I'm doing something very personal and private right now. Okay? In everything, it's a vision. My daughter came down a few weeks ago with a brain tumor. What did I do? I sat down with her and said, all right, from here on, what's our vision? Our vision is a long and abundant life. My vision, that's the vision. Now what we're going to do? So I look for the best doctor. I look for everything the best. And I made it very clear to her from now on. And she starts the radiation today. When you go to radiation, you're not going to radiation. You're going there to have a long and abundant life. This way you can make the decision to do radiation. This way you can bear it. This way you can take your chemo. Everything has to be driven by a vision. If it is in your personal life like that, or in your business life. But it has to be good for everybody, that vision. It has to be beautiful. It has to be desirable. It has to be something you would be proud of. And that's the greatest gift you can give your employees, because simultaneously you're giving your employees purpose and belonging. And even Aristotle already said, to be fulfilled in life, you need purpose and belonging.
Yes.
That's how strong I feel about vision. Okay.
Well, thank you. What's your daughter's name?
Alexis. Alexis.
All right, my friend. Well, you know I will be lifting her up,
Thank
as
you.
will
Well,
my
thank you.
family and my team.
Yeah, but
Um,
you know, it is it. But even there, you have to have a vision. You cannot. You don't go in there and just here do it and suffer through that. You have to know why you're doing this.
so, you're unpacking how we see vision at Building Champions. We see it the exact same way. When we say you build a compelling vision, it needs to be so compelling, it will grab your teammates, their heads and their hearts, and it will cause them to want to stretch and to be their best. And that has to happen with you as a leader. It needs to make your palms sweat.
That's
It
right.
needs to pull you forward. I say it needs to have magnetic pull power.
Yeah. Let me just interject on one more thing because I'm
Sure.
zealous about the subject.
Yep.
If you don't have a vision, what do you offer people when you hire them? Just a function?
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a minute. The microphone is committing a function. My chair where I'm sitting is functioning. I'm hiring human beings. And I can only offer them belonging and purpose if I can clearly show them, here is our destination. That's why we do things. When we do things, it's in order to get to this beautiful point. If you're a great leader, you then tell them also, what is your motive? So we can grow, so we can make more money, so we can, but wait a minute, you as the new employee, if you grow, you have opportunity. You also will make more money. You also will earn respect. You also will earn recognition and honor. You have to connect those things.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about how you do that in 1 second. My earbud just fell out and a bird thought it was a little breadcrumb, and I thought a bird was going to take my earbud. So that's one of the downsides of doing a podcast webinar in the forest. Hold on real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I'm coming right back. Okay, I'm back.
Okay,
so
I know you don't have time for many silly stories, but so it was with Bali, and Bali with my wife. I was having a meeting. She was sitting outside by the pool in Bali, and on a telephone, she put the telephone down, walked inside. A monkey came and took it and went and left.
Oh no!
True story.
That's a great story. The hazards of bringing technology to places like Bali. There was a clear message: leave your phone back in the room. Enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
So, Horst, you built vision into the heads and the hearts of everybody. They came to the Ritz-Carlton or to Capella, and they didn't think like you think. They didn't see what you saw. How did you translate and impart your vision into them very specifically?
Yeah. Well, four steps to make sure they are really part, and the vision, 3 steps really. First, we selected by profile. We looked at every job category and made sure we understand what is the need, what's the talent in that job category. We then found out an outside company helped us with that. So we selected, number 1. Number 2, and this is key, we oriented. When you and in fact, in the selection, we told them already, do not come to work for us. Join us in our vision. Then in the orientation, which I did myself in every new hotel or takeover hotel, once it was open, the general manager did it, but I did in everyone around the world. And no matter if that was Berlin or Shanghai or Philadelphia, I did the opening and said, here's who we are. And in that first day, we explained again, here is why we want to be together, and here's where we want to go. And there explain, here's the motive why we all should want to go there. Here's how it's good for everybody in this room, for everybody, in fact, good for society, so we explain, so join me again, do not work, join me. And so I put it in the first day. Now the first day, doing that the first day is of extreme importance, because you see, much of what I'm asking here is a certain behavior. We are nice at and so on and so on. We explained that the first day. Behavior cannot be taught because it is settled in you by the time you're 16, except when there is a moment of significant emotional event. That's when you can teach behavior. That's why the first day you do that, not the 4th day. And so we do that the first day. The second day in orientation, we determined what are the 20 things that I have to do superior to the competition if I want to be the best in the world? You see, I can take any company and any company and determine with them what are the, in the mind of your user, of your consumer, whatever it is, what will make me superior to the competition? What are the things where I hit them on? We determined them and we taught those 20 things the second day. Mm. From there on, every day we repeated one of those points. Every day into the future. Now, 20 points. You hear one today, in 20 days you hear it again. I don't let you forget it. I put it in you. I made it stick in you. And it's in your mind, and pretty soon it becomes your habit to think like that and be like that. So that's why in between, of course, we taught the process. We taught the function. Certainly the function is important, but the function is there. Everybody understood from day one, we are fulfilling this function, like checking a guest in, for the purpose of convincing this guest to want to come back. And the purpose of that is to become the best in the world. That's it.
So I've heard you share this so many times, and I've experienced it. I've been at your hotels. I've seen the maintenance workers out in the parking lot first thing in the morning in a big circle as they're going through one of their 20. I've watched it day in and day out. I've seen many other organizations adopt it. I've heard you share it with CEOs of massive companies that have joined us, and they're asking you for the very specifics because they're going to adopt it. This is so big. Yeah. In the chapter perspective 2 in the book, the model that we've used for years with vision is I say, your vision needs to answer 3 questions. I call it 3B vision. What do you belong to? Who are we going to become? And what are we going to build? And if your vision answers those 3 B's, well, now you can engage the heads and the hearts of people. And when I listen to you talk about purpose, when I listen to you talk about values or convictions, and then the behaviors, it just makes so much sense because we're telling people how to show up, how to win, and then who we're going to become as we build for you the best hotel in the world. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Well, I'm consulting with several companies. I consult with a group. They had about 3,000 employees, but their turnover was 36%. Now their customer direct contact company, that cannot happen. So I ask them why, and they tell me, well, they leave. Why do they leave? Because of money. So we created an analysis. We called 100 employees that actually had left. Out of the 100, 6 left because of money. The rest felt they didn't belong. They're not part of anything. They was kind of felt an outsider. That's the point. And then of course, in the beginning, when I started with them, with that group, I asked, what is the vision of the company? They showed me the vision of the company, which really was a mission. Most companies do that. It's not a vision statement, it's what they're doing. That what they're doing is a mission statement. Where you want to be in 10 years, this dream destination is a vision. And I asked them, who knows this statement here? Everybody. I talked to so many people, I didn't find one who knew it, not one. In fact, a couple have said, I only work here. What do you think? They're going to stay with you? It's ridiculous. By the way, 2 years later, our turnover is 12%.
Right on.
36%.
Right on.
Because we changed it. And the company is doing, the company is exception, more exception than anything I've ever seen, because they were willing to adopt and overcome their ego. I don't know if I could do it. I have to be very honest. I don't know if I could do it. When I said the CEO, I have to say things that are contrary to what you're saying. He said, I tell you what, the company is more important than I am. Wow, I don't know if I could do that. That's why they are thriving. It is sensational what they're doing. They adopted it.
So I'm gonna take a detour because I feel like right now, as we're recording this, are you in Atlanta or Florida today? Where are you?
Today, Atlanta.
All right. So, we're sitting on opposite sides of this country, and we're approaching the end of September. The fourth quarter is upon us, and we know that this nation, in particular, is heading into some difficult times. And we've talked about this, right?
Sure.
And leadership right now, it's going to make us or break us.
Yeah.
I would like you to speak to this question. Why have you sacrificed and led? What motivates you? Even at you could retire, you could be done, but you continue to share your heart and your mind and your experience with leaders. So why is it that you sacrificed and led your businesses, as well as why are you doing it now to help others? What's motivating you?
It always was a vision, and the very I was driven by, of course, we all are. We are impacted by people we met in our lives, and those people, and because of them, I think how I think today. I learned that you have to always create. That is really the fulfilling thing, is to create, and of course have create for a great vision, and I have a vision beyond that, by the way, incidentally. Every vision, and my vision here on earth should not stay in the way for the next vision that I have. So I was constant driven that you have, and I think we have an obligation. I mentioned Stephen Covey earlier. Stephen said you have an obligation to keep on giving to people. If you have a success situation, we all have an obligation to keep on giving. And I realized that the older I get, the more I realize that, and the more I want to do it from the heart, giving, not work to make an income. When you work, invariably you have costs. You have to cover costs. You have a secretary, you have office space, blah 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 blah, computers. So sure, you have to have income. On the other hand, the purpose is to keep on giving, and hopefully in a tiny little bit impact people in society in a tiny little bit. That is my big wish, that I could somehow. I sometimes feel, particularly where we live right now, and what I feel like going in a city square and scream it out loud, my people, please, what are you doing to yourself? I'm so worried about everyone. I mean, every side. Because he said, what are they doing to themselves? My goodness, there are people who are writing, they're doing this to themselves, those poor people. And the people that sit by and let it happen, they're doing it to themselves too.
Yeah, we spoke a little of this before we hit record, and I would love for leaders all to just hear what Horst just said with regards to his conversations with Stephen Covey and why he does what he does. I've been an executive coach and CEO mentor now, Horst, for 2.5 decades. Started building champions 25 years ago. And the absolute connecting point between amazing cultures that get amazing results is that the leader sacrifices and cares for the people and the mission, and understands his or her role is to come under them, to coach them, to equip them to accomplish something together that they could never do on their own. It's always about a better tomorrow, but it's always this act of service. I serve the business instead of the business serves me.
Yeah, and talking about the service, you as a leader, you're serving your people, your employees, and you're serving the public.
Yep.
And somebody, and I had a podcast this morning, and somebody asked, okay, define service. Very simple. Service is the instant you make contact, it starts. It doesn't start a half a second later. In other words, it starts with a fine greeting or whatever, however, the instant you make contact. In fact, your building makes contact, your office makes contact. So it has to be right. You have to establish right there, create trust by who you are, when you make contact. The next step is complying and serving their needs and wishes. And the next step is not anymore about you. If you can overcome you, and it's all about them in that moment, it's all about your customer in that moment, and try to serve them the best, of course, within the limitations you have in making a profit, not wasting money, and all those limitations. I understand that. Don't kid yourself. So, but it's all about them. if you concentrate on them, and finally it ends up with saying farewell. If you can do that and overcome, constantly worry what you're doing for yourself and for your company, you're going to go somewhere. And then, by the way, how do you learn it? I tell you what, after every interaction that you have, step back and say, how could I have done it better? Step back.
Yeah, that constant evaluating, looking for the opportunity to improve, because it's always there.
I have to interject here because I know what some people are thinking. But so somebody I'm working with, they're making a real commodity. It's a simple commodity, big business, simple commodity. And I said, well, how can I compete with this? I'm selling to businesses and so on. But there's still contact points with your market. And you have to make sure that everyone, maybe it's your billing. Billing is a contact point. Everything is a contact point. Everything. You have to make sure, if you have a commodity, that everything that touches customer is superior to the competition. Pick up the 20 points. Pick up the 20 points like I did. For me, it is all personal because we see each customer. For you may be making widgets, I don't know what, and you sell them to another company, but you still have contact points. And you make sure that your contact points are superior to the touch points of your competition. That's all. Make it simple.
Yeah. Simple to understand and incredibly difficult to focus on day in and day out. And that's why so few people do it. But they need a leader who sees it. They need a leader who will not settle for anything less than excellence. I did an interview like this with a fellow contributor to the book, also one of my clients, a mutual friend. You know Martin Daum. You knew Martin's parents. We've talked about Martin, and he's the chairman of Daimler Trucks Global. And Martin, in the book, he has this line. He says, "Make your products so good, they're so excellent that your customers say thank you when they reach into their wallet to give you their money. They're thanking you for the privilege to buy your product. You have to be that good."
Yeah. And the customer is looking for three things from you when they deal with you. The direct customer is looking for three things. And if any one of the people that listen, if you buy anything, you're looking subconsciously. And again, subconscious is stronger than the conscious. You're looking for three things. You buy a house or a TV or a truck or a bottle of water. I like to use the bottle of water as an example. What are you looking for? You want the product to be defect-free. You don't want that bottle of water to leak or have something swimming in it.
Right.
It be defect-free. That's subconscious. And you want it timely, which is very, very important. You want it when you want it, not when they want to give it to you. You want it when you want it.
Yeah.
And you want the people who give it to you to be nice to you.
Yeah.
It's a relationship. And the being nice is the greatest driver of customer satisfaction, eventually loyalty. And that's the very thing that doesn't cost anything.
Yes.
And you don't do it when you sit in the office. It's your people. So you go right back to the leadership where they want to do that. That's the leadership that you have to have. Create an environment where they want to do it. So it goes all together. And really, somebody says all common sense. Well, I guess that's why it's so difficult. Look around. Common sense doesn't really exist.
I'm struck with the thought as I listen to you, and I listen to you, and I have so many moments where I've experienced your product. Our company every 90 days would run something called the Master's Coach. And 80% of the Master's Coach events always took place at Ritz-Carlton hotels. And the experience was always flawless. Every single time we would just rave about our experiences. And as we're bringing this interview to close, I'm struck with a thought. And that is, hey, listeners, let's just say that your budget would only allow for you to pick up one book right now. Yes, I'm pitching the 7 Perspectives of Effective Leaders. And I know this isn't true. Everyone listening can buy both. But I am so convinced that what you say can radically move the needle for leaders. I would love for them all to read your book. I would love for them all to read your book. I've had so many opportunities to listen to you, to sit and eat with you, and to have you share at groups. And you make me better, my friend. You make me better. You make me a better executive coach. You make me a better CEO. There's 35 or so of us on our team. We're better because of you. And we've adopted much of what you created. And there's more room for us to improve. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, you're doing consulting now. How should they go about that?
Well, I'm on the internet or send an email HHS very simple at horstschulze.com, or go into the internet. And the book, of course, on Amazon is very easy to.
Well, what I'm going to do is I will put in the podcast notes, and wherever we post this, my marketing team will make sure we do the link to you as well and to your book. I love spending time with you. I love it. I really want to thank you.
I enjoyed it a lot from the time before the recording went on and throughout. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. You too, my friend. I'm going to hit stop recording, and then I've got a couple words for you. So I'm going to stop recording. Hey, all of you who are joining us, thank you. I am absolutely confident that this is one you're going to want to listen to again and again. I am very serious about my recommendation on reading Horst's book. And if there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate. You're going to like his contributions to the 7 Perspectives as well. Thanks for your investment of time, folks.